Hey everybody, this is Rachel. It's Monday evening and I just getting back from a long week of watching grandkids, and been a blessing to be able to take time to, be able to be present with my grandchildren, like I mentioned, in Charlotte. And I had been thinking a lot that what's happened over the weekend, a lot to process, and I think all of us are really, a lot of us are thinking deep about what really matters most in life. And I was thinking, what could I add value to some of the perspectives that's being given, and trying to make sense of, in my mind, some things that I've been thinking about and how I'm being changed by seeing what's happening in our world today, the good and the hard, and how to help you out there that, some of you friends that, just struggling with lots of things to think about. And I wanted to do it in a little analogy, and maybe I could help, because I've been processing things. And I went to a t-ball game, a first game for my grandson Chance, and I love to make analogies, and this is something I was thinking about when I was watching the game, and then thinking about how I feel about what I saw, what I experienced, me as a widow watching what happened to Erica, Kirk, and being able to imagine what they must feel like in their family, and their family, the extended family, and then also the other side of the mother of Tyler Robinson and the father, and just so hard. And I hope to give you perspective, but I was just watching little baseball and watching Chance play, and there were some things that happened during the game, and I wanted to just tell you how I put it together, and maybe give it a lot to some of you watching. But we came to the game, and we were going to be on time, and we realized when we got to the baseball fields that are, what do they call it, the gate or whatever, the court, the field was the very furthest away. So we were pretty much on time, but we didn't realize we were going to have to park. We're going to have to navigate and walk so far into where we're going to have the game. So I wanted to just talk about, we have to be early, we have to be ready, we have to expect change. And that's part of what life's all about. We don't know what's going to happen in our lives. We don't know what's going to happen in our families' lives. And then when we got to the place that we were going to play, what Chance was going to play, we had to get the game shirt. And the assistant coach pulled out of the bag what we thought Chance's shirt was. It was number 3. And he went out to do the warm-up with the team. It was his first game. He's only 4 years of age, so that's a t-ball. And then the coach had realized that he got the wrong shirt. So he had to take off his number 3 shirt and put on the number 8 shirt. And so he had to put on the right shirt. I was thinking about, we have to expect unexpected changes, but we also have to make sure we have the right shirt on. We have to have the right identity, and I'm going to make sense of all this in my mind about, we go to play the game. We have to make sure we know who we are in the game of baseball. And this little, I'm learning by watching Chance, and my mind is being taught by the Lord in this game. And I hadn't watched t-ball, I don't think, in so many years. My kids didn't play till they're like 5th grade. But when I saw Chance, they threw, one of the young kids hit they were up to bat, they hit the ball. The entire team went to go grab the ball. And they left a lot of the bases unprotected. But they're young, and so they're learning. But it was really cool to see everyone, all these little 4-year-olds, run to get the ball. And I think we can go get the balls, we can go find out where the problem is, but we have to make sure that we have some players that we learn in later in life to play positions, to be able some support. Some are the pitchers, some are the catchers, some are the players that are on the base, and some are the teammates, but we have positions, so we're never caught off guard. And I think part of that for me, to take this to another dimension from the t-ball, is making sure that we know our position. We know our position with where we're faced, if we're anchored with the Lord, so that when we're playing the game, we don't want to left off guard, so that we're not exposed to being knocked flatlined and not having anywhere to turn, because we have to be focused on, I believe it is the Lord in our baseball game. And then to go a little further, I was watching the coaches, and they had a couple coaches, and they're all my parents that were helping out. And they were trying to help these young 4-year-olds say, stand, be ready to watch. keep the eye on the ball. And it was so cute because the little kids are just getting tired. Some of them were really had played before, maybe one, maybe a, one or two games before. Some of the younger ones had played because this was the first time Chance had played. But the coaches were trying to teach them to stand and be ready. Keep your eyes on the ball. Be aware. And in our life, a lot of times we're so distracted. We're not even aware. We don't even watching the balls. We're not seeing what's happened until we're knocked over, or we're kind of rolled over, or we miss the balls. We miss the balls in life, the most important ones, because we're not ready. And then there's a time to hit. There's a time to catch. And there's a time to cheer each other's on. And I was watching these little 4-year-olds. They get up and they hit the ball that's a little propped up on the tee-ball. They have a little tee on a little stand. And it's easier to hit because they're learning. They're younger. And I thought, it's like life, we're all trying to find a way to, when is it our turn to hit? When is our time to help? When is our time to learn? And we want to be able to help those that are trying, those that are learning, those that are trying to navigate the new game. And we cheer them on. It was really, really sweet to see these coaches cheering these young kids on. They're the very first time they're learning. They're in the learning mode, very young. And it was neat to see them all cheer and give each other high five. And they were so cute when they're learning and they're having fun in their game. And then one other thing I noticed to tie some things together, and I'll make sense, as I mentioned at the very end of this, but little Chance, he didn't want to wear his helmet because it wasn't comfortable. And so they found that he was wearing the helmet that's supposed to be forward with the little visor part. He wanted to turn it on the back because he didn't want to wear it because it was uncomfortable. But the coach says you have to wear it, and he even let him wear it backwards, but he had to have it on his head because it's part of the protection. We have to protect ourselves with some armor. We have to protect ourselves with being able to be knowing how to pray at a younger age and learning how to connect with the Lord as we get older, so that it's not all new when we get hit. And maybe we never want to get hit in the head. We don't want to be running in the wrong direction. We don't want to be able to stop. And we want to make sure that we're understanding that it gets really confusing sometimes when we're not listening to the right coaches. We don't know, some of these kids were running in the wrong direction. They had to stop, they had to start, they had to, they didn't know. One of the gentlemen, so they hit the ball, and they didn't know if they should run, or they didn't know if they should run the right direction. But it was really cute to see them learn, and having these great coaches to give them the years of practice. They would get it. They would become good over time. They would be able to learn about teamwork, waiting for your turn. They would be learning how to have patience, how to focus, how to have the skill over time. It takes a lifetime of learning patience, to learning to, get up when you mess up. And it's a process of just learning from the experiences of life. And today I got to drive home 4.5 hours, and I got to really process the lessons of life from Charlie Kirk. And watching Erica's talk, I got to take time because I was babysitting all weekend. I didn't really get to process. And the death of the shooting and how it happened and what may have led up to this and what's happening because of courage. The turning point that's happening in our country and our world. We're seeing people praying before games. We're seeing people rally up and not being afraid to talk about Jesus, not slumping. I know my grandson at the end of this practice, to give you one more analogy, is that he got tired toward the three-fourths of the game, and he just sat down and started playing in the dirt in the middle of the game. And he had his big mitt, and he was playing, trying to get the dirt into his mitt. And I thought, right now that was cute. But we take it to another level. It's not time to play in the dirt. The world needs our prayers. The world is hurting. We have to step up. It's more time to really think about the game and be ready for all the different types of baseball, hits that we're going to experience, whether they're curve balls, and my husband taught me about the curve balls, the change-ups, the grand slams, the long innings, the learning about having patience, learning about forgiveness, learning about setting boundaries, learning about protection, learning about standing up, having a voice. And I feel my heart breaks for, what has happened. And then we look back at, I always have followed Martin Luther. I loved his bravery with nonviolence and seeing what happened because he was brave. being killed, and others, and there's so much in history that people are killed by being brave. And at the end of the day, the greatest home runs is those who have eternal perspective, to not be afraid to stand up. So I want to challenge myself that I want to be braver. And I spent my whole life, I'm 62 now, talking about miracles, about how to navigate life's storms with the Lord, and the pillars for helping us to be changed by the Lord, by not waiting for a desperate call, but priming the pump so we can be inspired to lead change, that we can be the change, that we can pray for change. And then hi Sandy, we were having a good time today in our Bible study class, which I loved, and using the perspective of hopefully this little baseball analogy that I gave, the T-ball, of thinking about how we play life's game, how we want to be known for at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the only thing that really matters if we're pleasing our Savior and our Father in heaven. That's really all that really matters. So I hope to be braver and sharing ways that I can support each of you as we navigate losses and struggles and storms. And I heard something today, and I know Sandy, you're watching, so we were talking about how when all the apostles were on the boat, and they were having a lot of uncertainty about how to navigate this life storm, and then they saw Christ walking on water. It really hit me that Christ walks on this. He walks on the problems. He gives us great ways to overcome with his peace and his strength and his comfort and his love and his. You can see what's happened with the strengthening our nation once again. And I pray that we can have this turning point to be changed by the Lord, and being brave and moving forward with these younger generations that can stand up, as we all do, teaching our children how to pray, how to run the bases of life, how to navigate all the different types of hits that we're going to get, and to not play in the dirt when it's time to play ball. So anyway, Sandy, I hope you made sense of that. I had time to think today about a long drive home. Mostly I was thinking about what it was like when I lost my husband. He didn't die in a tragic place like Charlie did, but I know what it's like to be a widow and to have to be able to raise children. And the only way you do it is with anchoring yourself with the Lord, and you teach your children to look up and to pray, and to all the credit, all the strength, all the buckler, the surrounding, the encasing of our lives is we're held with the Lord, and he can help us do all things. So I hope that somebody gets something out of my rambling today of the T-ball analogy, but it is about the bigger game, and it's the eternal perspective, and that's how we handle storms. So make it a great night. I got home and I'm kind of tired, but I did, just praying for our world, and for the Kirk family, and also for what's happened with the tragedies of the Tyler's family and what they have to go through and navigate this, and praying for them as well. Make it a great night.